Our daughter has passed away.
My mother conveyed this message in a somber voice over the phone from my husband. My husband replied,
"What? Mia?"
My mother responded,
What are you pretending not to know? She is my daughter and your wife.
"What?"
I could tell from his voice over the phone that my husband was flustered. His actions towards me were too cruel. Now is the time for him to receive his punishment. My name is Olivia. I am a 35-year-old housewife. I was raised with my younger sister, who is 3 years younger than me, under the care of my father, who is a bus driver, and my mother, who is a housewife. My father is always kind, and my mother has a gentle personality, so our family gets along well. My sister, who is reliable, is still single and focused on her work. My husband Michael and I had a workplace romance. He is tall, handsome, and kind. He was very popular in the office. I, who was plain and shy, fell for him quickly after receiving his aggressive approach. According to him, he prefers people with good personalities rather than glamorous people. We got married soon after, and I became a housewife to support my husband. We were blessed with a daughter named Mia soon after. With the financial support of my parents, we were able to build our dream home. I should have been at the height of happiness. Until I found out about my husband's true nature. Since my daughter was born, my husband's attitude has gradually become arrogant. First, he stopped calling me by my name. Whenever he had something to say, he would call me.
"Hey."
After giving birth, I struggled to lose weight, and my husband would say things like,
"Aren't you ashamed of your body shape? You look like a fat ant."
He would make fun of me by calling me
"Fat ant."
every now and then. Around this time, my husband started coming home late at night or early in the morning, and his suit started smelling like perfume. I have complained to my husband once that I also find child-rearing difficult. I told him to stay with our daughter instead of going out drinking every day. Then, my husband suddenly got angry and threw a chair at me. He shouted,
"I'm not drinking because I like it. It's for work. Work. Why don't you understand that? You're fat. Ugly. You're the one who's having fun repeating the same thing every day at home with child rearing, aren't you? Try working outside."
After that, I became afraid of angering my husband and couldn't say anything. At the same time, the monthly living expenses he gave me were reduced to only $150. My husband's catchphrase became,
"You're a bored housewife, so make do with $150.
I managed to scrape by using up my savings from when I was single. Since the monthly living expenses were reduced to $150, my life became more and more difficult. However, when I thought about my young daughter, I couldn't bring myself to leave. Even so, it's a fact that I couldn't keep living like that. I secretly started working from home using my design skills from my previous job, and before I knew it, I was earning the same salary as my husband. With the money problem solved, I felt like I could work a little harder, and several years have passed since then. On a certain holiday when Mia turned 3 years old, my husband's cell phone rang while he was taking a shower. It was rare for him to leave it out on the desk. I ignored it, but it didn't stop ringing, so I peeked inside and saw a woman's name. I realized my husband was seeing someone else. When my husband got out of the shower, I said to him with a straight face, "Your phone was ringing." I could tell from his expression that his face had changed. My husband asked,
"Did you look at my phone?"
I replied, trembling, "No, I didn't." My husband went into the bedroom with a sullen expression. I unconsciously shed tears. But I couldn't leave it at that. I started secretly recording conversations with my husband using an IC recorder from around this time. I also hired a private detective and obtained irrefutable evidence of his infidelity. When my daughter turned 5, an event occurred that would be the final straw. I never thought my husband was such a cold-hearted person. Even now, it's terrifying to think about. First, the days when he doesn't come home have increased. He always says he's on a business trip, but I knew right away that there was no such thing as a business trip in his department, having worked at the same company. What an insult. I've grown tired of him lying so blatantly and going to see his mistress, and I'm seriously considering divorce. On that morning too, my husband said as he walked down the stairs.
I suddenly have a business trip today.
My husband said with a lot of sarcasm.
There's no point in going home if there's only going to be tasteless food. I might as well eat something delicious once in a while.
I finally lost my temper with him. Huh? Don't be ridiculous. What do you mean by tasteless food? I make dinner every day that I hardly ever get to eat. And where are you going when you say you're on a business trip? I have evidence. At that moment, my husband, who had become furious, my husband pushed me away.
Don't speak like you know, though you don't know anything.
My husband looked down at me as I lay on the floor, and said,
Ha! You're a disgusting fatty. Serves you right.
Before quickly leaving the house. I hit my head hard on the floor and gradually lost consciousness. When I came to, I was lying on a hospital bed. My daughter and parents were looking at me with worried expressions.
Mom, are you okay?
My daughter asked. Mia. Did you help me? Ouch. I tried to get up in a hurry, but pain shot through my entire body. However, miraculously, the injury was not serious, and I was able to be discharged on the same day.
Yeah. I called Dad and said, Mom got hurt. Please come home, but Dad said, I can't because of work, so I called Grandma.
My daughter continued.
So I called an ambulance. I was really surprised. What happened?
I asked the nurse to take my daughter out of the hospital room and told my parents about the many atrocities my husband had committed. The two of them listened solemnly, and then,
come back home. And make sure he pays for what he's done. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth.
I decided to put an end to this marriage. Of course, after the appropriate settlement. Our family held a meeting on the spot and decided to launch a big show to counterattack my husband. The next day, my husband called my cell phone. When my mother answered the phone, she said in a depressed voice,
My daughter has passed away.
The phone was in speaker mode, and of course it was being recorded.
Ha! My daughter, Mia.
What are you talking about? She's my daughter, your wife.
What?
My husband exclaimed, sounding flustered even over the phone.
It seems like she fell and hit her head hard on the floor. Do you have any idea what happened?
What? No, I don't.
Then, in a fake tearful voice, my husband said,
She was fine this morning, saying, see you later. Why did this happen all of a sudden?
Liar. I suppressed the urge to scream at him. You're the one who pushed me.
More importantly, where are you now?
My mother asked, her voice full of anger.
I'm on a business trip right now. It'll take me half a day to get home.
Come home right away. I'm taking my daughter and going back to our house right now.
My mother said before hanging up the phone. We hurried home, and I quickly prepared evidence of my husband's infidelity and a voice recorder, and consulted with a lawyer. When I checked our bank accounts and life insurance policies, I confirmed that my husband had not done anything yet. In preparation for the showdown with my husband, I evacuated my daughter to my sister's house and waited for my husband's return with my parents. After a while, my husband returned home. I was stunned. Who is that? He had returned home with a woman. My husband was speechless when he realized that I, who he had been told was dead, was alive.
Huh? Why are you here?
More importantly, who is that person?
You tricked me.
My husband's voice was turned upside down. Not as much as you did. So, who is that person?
Your mother said she would bring you to their house. Wasn't this your parents' house?
This is my house. Never mind that. Who is that person?
No, it's not like that. This person is a business associate.
Just as my husband was about to say something, I lined up the cheating photos I had obtained through a private detective on the desk. According to my investigation, that person looks like the woman in these photos.
Huh. It's probably a composite photo or something, right?
Look at the date in the photo. In my diary, I wrote, "My husband is on a business trip." When I called the company, they said he was on paid vacation. It's easy to find out if it's really paid vacation or not. Who was lying? And why is she here today?
Huh. So that's because of business.
Just as my husband was about to say something, the woman interrupted.
I'm Sophia. I'm dating Michael with the intention of getting married. You're his sister, right? Are you alive?
I'm not his sister. I'm Michael's wife. When I answered in surprise, she also said in a surprised voice.
I heard he is living with his sister.
What? What are you talking about? When I glared at my husband with a devilish look, he suddenly began to look frightened. However, even at this point, my husband made a clumsy counterattack.
Wait, there's a reason for this. Even though I said we were dating, she's just a customer. I'll talk to you later.
At this point, the woman seemed to understand the situation and began to press my husband hard.
Michael, didn't you say your sister was dead? And you have a wife? What's going on here?
My husband stammered.
Huh. So, I was tricked.
The one who was tricked was me. You've been cheating on me for years. And to top it off, you pushed me and caused me to get hurt.
What? You did that to your wife? That means it could happen to me too.
The woman said, looking half disgusted.
That's not true. I love you.
So that means you admit to cheating. I countered.
That's not what I meant.
This is what they call a shambles in the world. I calmed down. Both parents were even calmer and sent cold glares to my husband. There is not even a micron of love left for him. It's a divorce. I pushed him away with one word. The affair partner said,
We'll break up.
She also cut him off with one word. Just pushing me is a serious crime. Moreover, there is evidence of infidelity, so be prepared for a considerable amount of compensation. When I said that, the affair partner also got angry and said,
You were a married man. I really despise you. You deceived me. Give me back my time. I demand an apology from you that is equivalent to that.
Then my husband turned around and said,
Did you have any evidence that I knocked you down? It was your own careless mistake, wasn't it?
I took out an IC recorder here. It was recorded with the vivid sound of the conversation between my husband and me, and the sound of me being pushed. Other past remarks that insulted me are also recorded perfectly in this. You can't escape anymore. Then she added,
I have evidence that I met you at a matchmaking party and you referred to your wife as your older sister on Telegram.
My husband, who could not make excuses, finally turned around.
Shut up. Fatty. If you were gone, I was going to be with her with your life insurance. She is the daughter of a senior executive of a trading partner. If we get married, my promotion is guaranteed. It's all your fault that it turned out like this.
My husband threw everything he could at me and tried to grab me. At that time, my father quickly strangled my husband. My father, who was a bus driver, had mastered judo in case of emergency. Then, when my husband became unable to move, she gave him a round-trip slap. The affair partner said,
This is mine. And this is for your wife.
She kicked him hard in the crotch once more. My husband groaned.
Ouch.
I quietly said to him as he writhed in agony. It's about the life insurance. Just in case, I've made my father and mother the beneficiaries. You won't get any money anyway. By the way, do you remember who owns this house? It's in my parents' name because they paid for it. Got it? Now get out of here. Furthermore, the other woman added insult to injury.
I see. You only dated me because I'm the daughter of a high-ranking executive. It's too bad things didn't go your way, isn't it?
In the end, I divorced my husband and received all the compensation I was entitled to. Of course, I kicked him out of the house and moved in with my parents instead. Since I was at it, I decided to renovate the house. Afterwards, my husband's affair with his mistress was exposed at work. Since she was the daughter of an important business partner, her parents were furious. My husband and his mistress broke up, and he divorced me. He was also demoted at work for obvious reasons. He had trouble getting along with his colleagues even after being transferred to another department, so he ended up quitting his job. His mistress also demanded compensation, which depleted his retirement savings. He is currently looking for a new job. The mistress, who knew nothing about this situation, eventually came to me with her parents' apology and compensation. By the way, she got married to a genuine bachelor she met through a matchmaking service soon after. Although I felt sorry for her when she tearfully apologized to me, even though she wasn't at fault, I was relieved to hear that she was able to get married. As for me, my design work from home was going well, and I was able to start my own company. At first, it was a small company with only a few employees, but thanks to the senior members who got along well, the business grew steadily. Recently, the number of employees has increased significantly, and we plan to buy a building near the station next year to literally expand the company. As for my daughter, she didn't feel lonely at all after her father left. Rather, she has a strong sense of resentment towards the person who didn't come to help when her mother was injured, and she doesn't want to see her father at all. In fact, it seems that she has grown up freely and happily since the quarrels between her parents disappeared from the house. Recently, my ex-husband sent me a message.
How are you? I'm fighting with myself right now. I can reflect on myself. Let's work hard together again. You're probably getting lonely anyway. I don't mind getting back together. I love you.
Since it was a creepy message, I ignored it. However, he kept sending me the same kind of message over and over again, so I replied. I'll consult with my lawyer again. What are you talking about now? If you're going to fight, you should have fought earlier. I thought to myself. I never thought that my husband would be in such a situation that would be described as reaping what he sowed. The other day, I invited my parents and sister on a family trip to express my gratitude for them. I was able to relax in the nice hotel and gain both economic stability and peace of mind. I thought to myself. I'm happy now.
Mom, I want a cat.
My daughter said while eating at the hotel where we were staying. That's a great idea. Let's go find Mia a partner next time. I replied.
Cats are something we all love. What kind of cat do you want?
My mother asked. A few days after this conversation, a new member joined our family, a kitten named Minnie. She is a small, cute, and mischievous kitten.
Minnie, over here, over here.
My daughter's energetic voice calling Minnie can be heard even today. Finally, my sister got married to a kind and elite businessman. She is also pregnant, so our house will become even more lively in the future. My parents, my daughter, Minnie, and I never run out of things to talk about. I hope these happy days will continue for a long time.
How was this story? Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.
You are not needed at this funeral. You aren't related to us, just leave your condolence money and go home.
My mother-in-law tried to kick me out of my father-in-law's funeral, saying it. How hard does she think I've worked to take care of my father-in-law? He treated me as family, and also I have cared for him as if he were my own father.
You're right. Get lost, stranger.
Sorry? I couldn't believe my ears. Even my husband treated me like an obstacle. All right. I said it and was about to leave. but he had more to say.
What I mean by stranger, is you, Mom.
My name is Maya, a 34-year-old housewife. My husband Kent and I have been married for 3 years. We met at work and started dating after charming each other while working together. Then we continued to date smoothly and he proposed to me after 1.5 years of dating.
I want to be with Maya forever. So please marry me.
Yes. I hope you're by my side forever. After that, we soon visited both our families and had both families meet each other. Then we had a wedding and went on a honeymoon, and we started living together. When we first got married, I was still working as a company employee, so we shared the housework while working together. Since my husband had lived alone for a long time, he could cook and clean without any problems. So we were able to live our daily lives without any burden on either of us, helping each other. On our day off, we went on dates or just relaxed and watched movies at home, and our new married life was very enjoyable. Our happy new marriage went so fast, and before I knew it, 3 years had passed since we got married. My husband is still kind and cares about me even after 3 years of marriage. I'm glad that he isn't the type of person who never feeds a landed fish. I thought we would have a happy life together. However, circumstances can change so quickly. It all started when my father-in-law got sick. He was diagnosed with cancer, and it seems to be quite advanced.
He's been running a business for so long, so he didn't want to worry anyone, and didn't go to the hospital even when he wasn't feeling well.
Is that right?
He always pushes himself like that, so it's really worrying for us as a family.
So, can he still be treated?
No, the only thing left is how to prolong his life, and the doctor said he won't live much longer.
Oh no. I was so shocked. He was really kind and treated me very well. I couldn't believe that my father-in-law, such a kind-hearted man, had cancer. But there was more to come. He was no longer able to work and has become in need of care. My husband said he wanted to live with his parents and help with the care.
It would be a pity to leave everything to my mother alone, and it's also a big burden for her, so I want to live with them. But living together is not something I can decide on my own. So I want to know how you feel about it, Maya.
I thought about it for a little while after he talked to me. Certainly, living together is a concern. But more than that, I wanted to do something for my father-in-law and I wanted to have his wish granted. I at least want them to spend their time together at his final moment. He also took good care of me. So I agreed to live with him. I'm for it.
Are you really sure?
We should value the time we spend with your father.
Thank you, Maya.
My husband immediately contacted his parents, and then we moved to his parents' house and started living together.
I'm sorry about it, just because I got sick.
No, don't give it another thought. We are a family and we have to support each other.
Thank you.
He was much weaker than I had imagined because the disease is already spreading quite a lot. It was about 3 months since I last saw him, but he looked quite different from then. I couldn't believe it when I was told he had cancer, but when I saw how he looks now, I realized that he was really ill and it was so painful. Then we started living together, and when we actually started living together, I realized that the fact that my husband and I were both working brought my mother-in-law a lot more stress. However, my husband couldn't quit his job because he had to take over his father's company. So I decided to quit my job and become a housewife.
I'm really sorry. I had to make you quit your job that you love so much, Maya.
It's okay. I can work anytime I want, but it's the only time I can spend with your father. So I decided to choose family over work.
Thank you, Maya. Of course I'm willing to take care of him at night on weeknights and during the weekend. So let's help each other as a family from now on.
Yeah, let's do that. That's how I started my days as a housewife. There were no problems at the beginning. I carried on doing housework and assisting my father-in-laws with my mother-in-law, helping each other. My day started early in the morning by making my husband's lunch and breakfast for everyone. Even when I was a company employee, I always had breakfast for my health, and I prepared lunch every day to save money, so it wasn't particularly hard for me. However, cleaning was difficult because his parents' house was quite large. It took twice as much time and effort to clean the room where my husband and I lived. Still, I tried my best to get used to it. However, about 3 months after we started living together, I had another worry. It was about my mother-in-law. At first, my mother-in-law treated me normally. But gradually, she began to show her true colors and started treating me badly.
Are you bad at housework, Maya?
What do you mean?
You're slow at cleaning, you're a bad cook, and you can't do anything right.
I'm sorry. I was shocked when she said that to me out of the blue. I probably clean a little slowly. But it's a big house, so I guess that's to be expected. Also, I was surprised that my cooking was bad, because my husband always said it was delicious. However, when I asked her specifically what was wrong with it, all she said was that it tasted bad. Only my mother-in-law said it was bad, and my father-in-law always thanked me for the delicious food I made during the care. In fact, when she cleans, she does it slower than I do. My father-in-law and my husband both said that her cooking wasn't very good. I heard that she hasn't cooked much since she was young, and often bought prepared foods from the department store basement where a lot of pre-made meals are sold. So he said he was happy to be able to eat homemade food like this every day. Maybe she doesn't like the fact that I cook well like that. I don't want her to be jealous like that. I was worried about how to deal with my mother-in-law. I tried to praise her as much as possible and communicate well with her. But my mother-in-law, who has a high self-esteem, didn't seem to be pleased by my compliments. Rather, she became more harsh to me.
You're really useless, aren't you? You're even a full-time housewife and fed. That's so wrong to be like that as a daughter-in-law. Kent has been caught by a terrible woman.
She constantly abused me like this while we were together during the day, so it was quite mentally tough. It was so bad that one day I talked to my husband about it.
Is Mom bullying you?
Yes. She says terrible things to me every day.
I'm sorry. I didn't notice that at all. I'll give her a few words.
He supported me and made time to talk to her and pointed out lots of things. However, her attitude didn't change at all. In fact, it got worse.
Don't talk to him about things like I'm bullying my daughter-in-law. That's how you are trying to brainwash him and make him against me.
No, that's not true. Just because you use harsh words.
Humph. Just because I was a little strict on you, you're trying to make me look like a bad person. I have to educate you more.
She said that and started abusing me ever since. I began to hate her more and more. Then she started to force me to do all the housework and care. Well, where are you off to, Mom?
I'm having lunch with an important friend.
Well, isn't Dad's appointment today? Don't you want to go and ask for the results of the examination?
You can ask about that. Let me have a break for a little.
That's not fair. She went out saying that. She says she needs a break. But she's been going out every day recently. It's no longer a break. It takes a toll on me. I ended up doing all the housework. I didn't mind taking care of my father-in-law. I thought it would be better for me to do it than for her to do it carelessly. Even so, however, I sometimes feel that it is a burden for me to do everything on my own.
Sorry, Maya. My wife goes out like that, so you're taking up all the burden.
You shouldn't worry about it as it's not your fault.
Still.
It doesn't bother me.
Thank you.
I was happy that he cares about me like that. My husband was busy taking over or learning new jobs and was always tired. So I felt sorry for him to talk about her anymore. I just have to get used to this life. I tried to think of it in this way. But then something unexpected happened. My father-in-law got worse and was taken to the hospital. My husband and I hurried to the hospital. We waited anxiously for his treatment to end. You haven't been able to get hold of your mom?
No. She is out only for a drink. What the heck is she doing at a time like this?
She apparently doesn't answer the phone at all, and when he does drop her a line message, it doesn't get read. Even though it's an emergency for the partner she has been with for a long time. What is she really doing? Then, although the treatment itself was successful, my father-in-law ended up being hospitalized. I went home once, packed up everything he needed for hospitalization, and went back to the hospital. We spent the rest of the day waiting for him to come awake. He was stable and seemed to be asleep. So we decided to go home and take a nap. Then my mother-in-law was already in the bedroom and sleeping. My husband and I were disgusted. We had sent her so many messages and made so many phone calls. How could she sleep at home without replying? The next morning, my husband was angry with her.
What were you doing at a time when Dad might die?
I was too drunk to reply or anything, but he isn't dead, is he?
We are gonna see him now.
That's good then.
Get ready quickly, Mom.
I'm not going out today.
Why not?
Because I'm feeling sick from a hangover. I can't see him like that, can I?
You can still go and visit him, even if you're hungover?
No, I'm too old for that.
She said that and stubbornly refused to go out. My husband and I went to visit my father-in-law without saying anything more. After that, I spent every day going to visit him with my husband. But after about 2 weeks of hospitalization, he got worse and passed away. My husband and I were both extremely sad that our beloved dad passed away. I wanted to talk to him a lot more. By the way, my mother-in-law didn't come to visit him even once during these 2 weeks. So she couldn't be there for his last moments. I really feel sorry for my father-in-law being treated like this by her, his partner. So I'm glad my husband and I were able to be there for his last moments. Of course, my mother-in-law didn't organize the funeral at all. So my husband and I arranged and prepared for the funeral. We put up with the grief of losing him and contacted many people, booked a venue where many employees of the company could attend, and were quite busy. We managed to finish the funeral arrangements and were ready for the day. My husband and I arrived early at the funeral hall and helped with the reception and setup. At that time, my mother-in-law suddenly came up to me and said,
"Thanks for all your hard work, now pack your stuff and get out of my house."
"Excuse me?" I didn't understand what she was saying. "Well, what do you mean?"
So, I mean you're done with me. His care is over after his death, so that means you're no longer related to us.
Well.
Duh, are you with me? You are not needed at this funeral. Leave your condolence money here and go home now, stranger.
She tried to kick me out of his funeral saying it. How hard does she think I've worked to take care of my father-in-law? He treated me as family and I even cared for him as if he were my own father. In that time, my husband said something I never thought he would say.
Well, you're right. Get the hell out of my life, stranger.
Pardon? I couldn't believe my ears. Even my husband had treated me as an obstacle. I thought he was the only one on my side. I was too shocked to say anything back. Okay. I said that and was about to leave. She was looking at me with a grin. But he had more to say.
What I mean by stranger is, you, Mom.
What do you mean?
That means I'm cutting ties with you, Mom. I told my father about it, and Maya is the only family I have. You're not related to us.
Wait, what are you suddenly talking about?
I know you've been always thinking about yourself. Also, no matter how much I tried to talk to you, your attitude towards Maya never changed, and you spent all the money Dad earned. He was disgusted with you, Mom. So he said he didn't want you to attend the funeral.
No way, I'm gonna get the inheritance anyway.
What the heck? Instead of being sad that you can't attend the funeral, the first thing that comes up is about his inheritance.
I'm entitled to it, of course.
I'm afraid that Dad said he's going to disinherit you. He said he wrote that in his will.
Are you kidding me? Disinheritance? There's no way he can do that.
You are subject to disinheritance, Mom, for spending his money all these years without caring for him. On top of that, you had an affair in the past and stabbed him in the back, didn't you? It seems you humbly begged for his forgiveness and got him to forgive you. But I don't think you can complain about disinheritance because you did things that made it impossible for you guys to carry on an honest married life.
She turned pale.
I've had enough of you, too, Mom. This is an important place to hold my father's funeral. We won't talk about inheritance or anything today, so please leave right now.
But.
Just get out.
Ack.
She was startled and frightened by my husband's angry voice and left. Then we were able to hold my father-in-law's funeral without her. After that, the lawyer told me the contents of my father-in-law's will. My husband was to inherit everything. My husband and I got rid of my mother-in-law, sold their house and moved to a new house. We completely cut her off and never told her where we lived. So we'll never see her again. According to our relatives, she rented a cheap room that could be rented by people without a job. She has never worked in her life, and there are no good jobs for her, and has to work part-time for minimum wage, which is hard on her both physically and mentally. She is a terrible spender and the money from her part-time job is not enough, and she is repeatedly borrowing money apparently. In just a few months, she has apparently run up more debts than she can repay. But we've already cut ties, so that's none of our business. It's all her own fault. Meanwhile, my husband and I are living happily in our new home. Just recently, I got pregnant. I'm making the most of my time, being excited with my dearest husband to have a baby. What did you think of this story? Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.